Hey everybody, I'm here with Path 3, Part 2 of my Abyss Unit and Resource Breakdown series. In the last video, we looked at Darkhawk, Luke Cage, Old Man Logan, Havoc, Dormammu, Joe Fixit, and Mordo. In this video, we're going to start with Venom the Duck. For Venom the Duck, we used Symbiote Supreme. It took us 1 revive, we didn't use any health pots, and it only cost 40 units. This fight is far easier with Symbiote Supreme than it was when we used Doom. Venom the Duck's Abyssal ability. Venom the Duck gains max persistent charge at the beginning of the fight and begins with a fully loaded RNA bank. Additionally, launching any special attack will activate all buffs currently stored in his RNA bank. Venom the Duck will never activate regeneration buffs from his RNA bank. And now we'll have a look at some gameplay of Symbiote Supreme versus Venom the Duck. Once you get to your first L3, this is pretty much a Groundhog Day kind of fight. It's just the same thing over and over. If you're concerned about the power gain at all, you could just bait out Venom the Duck's L1s, and once you've got him to throw an L1, just continue to throw your L3s. It's pretty repetitive, might be kind of boring, but it gets the job done, and it doesn't cost much. The next opponent we face was Howard the Duck. For Howard the Duck, we used Aegon, took 3 revives, used 2 health potions. We were already at max combo, and it cost 120 units. Howard the Duck's Abyssal ability. Howard begins the fight with 30 passive, indestructible effects. Attacks that would be a critical hit remove one of these effects, and each strike of a heavy attack will as well. This is a pretty fun fight with Aegon. It might be a bit time consuming, but overall it's not bad. For the most part, you just want to make sure you're baiting the L1s and don't run into any L2s. The next opponent we faced, Hyperion. For Hyperion we used Doom, took 2 revives, and cost 80 units. Hyperion's Abyssal ability, gain an unstoppable buff every 30 seconds that lasts 15 seconds. If you nullify a buff off the defender, reset the timer to trigger another unstoppable buff. I've left a link below of some gameplay of Doom versus Hyperion. The next opponent we faced was the Champion. For the Champion, again we used Doom, took 1 revive, and cost 40 units. The Champion's Abyssal ability is the same as Hyperion's. Gain an unstoppable buff every 30 seconds that lasts 15 seconds. If you nullify a buff off the defender, reset the timer to trigger another unstoppable. Next opponent we faced was Red Skull. For Red Skull, we used pretty much everybody that was available to us. It took 7 revives. We also used 2 team revives, took 5 health pots, and we ended up using 408 units. Red Skull's Abyssal ability. While Red Skull remains below 1 bar of power, attacks against him suffer negative 90% attack. While below 2 bars of power, attacks instead suffer negative 50% attack. While at or above 2 bars of power, attacks instead gain 25% attack. Now I have some gameplay of using Aegon versus Red Skull. Overall, when facing Red Skull, I found Doom to be a much better counter than any of the other options I had. With Doom, I found the fight to be much easier technically, although it did take longer. I found Aegon and Nick Fury were able to do a lot more damage, but you need to be able to evade Red Skull's L2, which for the most part, I'm not very good at doing. But here's some gameplay of Aegon versus Red Skull. main objective is to get your L2 to hit Red Skull just as he's getting to 2 bars of power, so that your bleeds will do the most damage possible. If you're good at evading Red Skull's L2, this is not a bad option at all. Not good at evading Red Skull's L2, this doesn't work out too well. The next opponent we had is Bishop. For Bishop, we used Doom, took 1 revive, I used 2 health pots, and it cost 96 units. Bishop's Abyssal ability. Critical hits against Bishop suffer negative 100% attack. Whenever a bleed effect is inflicted on Bishop, he regenerates a lot of health over 5 seconds and gains a small trickle of power. Draining 1 or more bars of power from Bishop in a single instant causes him to suffer a lot of direct damage. And that's it for part 2 of path 3 of my Abyss unit and resource breakdown.